Hello and welcome to episode 5 of series 3 of the Co-Pilots podcast with Richard and Joe. Me being Joe, him being Rich.
You never sound sure what episode we're actually recording.
That's because I'm so concentrated on saying hello and welcome, because I'm starting to do that now rather than doing the silence thing that we used to do. I don't actually tee myself up with which episode it is we're doing.
I mean, it happens.
It
Luckily, we've only had... At least we've not said season 3 wrong yet. And just gone, it's season 12 of the Co-Pilots podcast.
What year is it? So we are brought to you once again by Squarespace. I fucking wish.
If we keep saying it, it'll happen.
So what we like to do on this show, if this is your first time listening, which for some reason you've chosen to start with series 3 episode 5, I did it again. We each give our thoughts and opinions on 2 pilot episodes of a TV show which are linked by some sort of theme generally.
I like that it started off, when we started we were like, yeah, we'll both pick a show.
Just fucking...
And then I got carried away. I was just like, well, what I've done is I've made a list of like 150 shows that we should watch.
Yeah. And a lot of them have been good. Okay, so this week we this fortnight, because although the rate we're recording, we might be able to bring them out one week once we record them. Okay.
Because 2 weeks gives us a chance to if
up.
something happens.
Yep. So we're going to be discussing Amazon Prime series Mr. Robot, which I've been wanting to watch for a few years now, and the AMC and Channel 4 sci-fi show Humans, or Hum, upside down A-ns. Which would you like to start with, Rich?
Shall we start with Humans?
Let's start with Humans. Okay, so would you like me to give a brief synopsis of what Humans is?
Yeah.
It's based on a Swedish science fiction drama, which I've literally learned in the last couple of seconds. And the series explores like what would happen if there were actual, for want of a better word, replicants, androids,
Synths.
Synthesized humans who would do your bidding. If you want someone to help you around the house, do that, etc., etc. So in the first episode, this is where I think my biggest gripe about the show is pretty immediate, really. It's like there's no real overarching story. There's no real... I felt it was very much just a series of smaller episodes put into the pilot episode. So we see a guy called Joe. He decides to buy an android to help him around the house because his wife is always away. And what's weird is they refer to the synth as it, which I found it very strange.
I think because of how closely human these look, I find it very hard not to just give it a gender. Be like, yes, you're a she.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the point of it, is that they're so close to human that I've realised I've left my notes in the other room, but fuck it, I'll do it on the fly. One of the notes I put is the show it lives in the uncanny valley. Because they're so similar to humans, but there's something about them you can tell. There's a coldness, there's a mechanical thing, or an absence of, emotion of that. But so his wife is really angry about him getting this synth without talking to her first, and then she starts worrying about how it. I don't like saying it, even though I know out of the context of the show, I don't like referring to her as it. But she gets very nervous about the synth being around her children, and then we see another character called Leo who presumably has been leading a group of synths away from, I guess, the factory they're made in. We're sort of showing this weird clinical looking factory at the start of the show where there's a bunch of naked synths all just waiting to be shipped, I guess.
Yeah, there's no real distinction if it's like a start of life or end of life for the synths sort of thing.
Yeah. That's a really good point, actually. It could be them being decommissioned.
Because that's the thing, I guess. Because I think the main conceit of the show is like the same as most shows that are based around sort of the synthetic human. Is mostly where do you draw the line at what it means to be human?
Yeah.
Because they seem to be of the opinion that, like, well, maybe you should treat us better.
I guess, you know, the people that while, you know, mechanically they can do all sorts of stuff, it seems that they believe that what makes you human is, you know, the fact that you can experience emotion, but there are parts where it becomes apparent that the synths have been programmed to be able to feel. You know, at one point you say, "Have you turned off your pain sensor for one of the prostitute synths?" And she says no, because she wants to feel human.
Yeah, but then I like that you still get sort of that like human synth disconnect where the synth is literally watching the daughter sleep, and the mother comes in and goes, "What are you doing?" Like, that's weird. She's like, "Oh no, I was told to watch the children."
Yeah, I suppose it's, you know, a logical way of thinking. So you think of how much of our everyday language and linguistics is brought into, you know, how much we all use metaphor and, you know, simile, hyperbole, that sort of thing. It's got to be so hard to program for that sort of thing. So that's where, you know, I can't think of an example just off the top of my head, but I think that's...
Or something like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. They'd just be like, one, what's a gift horse? Why would I be looking at its mouth?
Yeah, that would do. But then we'll see another character, a guy called George. His synth, he takes it to a supermarket, and it's an older model who starts malfunctioning and injures a woman, and that's where it's D.S. Drummond. That's the guy, isn't it? Drummond's his name, and he's played by Neil Maskell, who I absolutely love. So he comes and says, "Look, you got to get rid of him." But George managed to convince him that where he can't remember stuff, he's been using his synth to record his memories of his wife.
Yeah, and then he gets a new synth right at the end.
Right at the very, very end, yeah.
And he is not a fan.
Sorry. But yeah, I mean, what do you think of the narrative? Because I sort of got a vague sense that there's this mission being led by the guy Leo, he's either, like, you know, leading them away from the factory to try and give them a better life. But beyond that, I really didn't care about that storyline. I really liked the Joe and Laura storyline. Like, I'd much rather they just focused on the effects that having this woman in the house who's you know, she's replacing the mother. In fact, that's what she said. You bought a replacement for me. But I just wish they'd focused on that rather than, you know, having these tangents where it's not entirely clear what's going on.
Yeah, I think my real... Like, it seems like it's probably a good enough show.
Yeah, right, so my assistant has handed me my notes. And I wrote down a lot of stuff, but everything I wrote was ideas that I had about the show or things that the show had made me think, not any of the plot beats. So it's, I think one of the key themes that it goes on about is these synths. It's not about what they add to your life, it's about what they take away from you. So you've got the emasculation from it's Drummond's wife, who is being massaged by their synth and carried around. Laura, her maternity taken away because on a number of occasions she says, "Oh, I want to read to my daughter. I want to do the cooking. I want to do this." And self-worth and drive as well. Her daughter, I think she has a line. It's something like, any job that I apply for is going to be redundant in 3 or 4 years because there'll be synths doing it. So what? We're all going to become poets or something? I thought that was brilliant.
I mean, it's also a fair point. Like, why get a human to do something you can program a synth to do?
Because humans sort of need to exist, or do we? Interesting.
But that's the other question that this raises. At this point, is it just writing yourself out of the world?
But a point to that is talking about the jobs. I started because initially thinking that I guess that they got them the synths to do all the lower class jobs. So you see a guy collecting leaves, which it's not a lower class job. Some of us have got to do that to pay our bills. Being a gardener.
I mean, well, it is really, isn't it?
But then equally, while you see people doing that and like picking up the bins and that sort of stuff, you see a brain surgeon, brain surgery being carried out by a synth. So it's a weird that you don't normally get this in sort of, these sci-fi future things where robots have taken over and are now, doing work. It generally is the stuff that, no one really wants to do. So I thought, okay, is it going to then go down the line of, so it's a working class family that are now really struggling because they're not qualified to do any sort of academic work or more skilled work, but then they can't get a job in the lower skilled jobs because there's all these synths taking them. But then that was sort of null and void by the fact that you get brain surgeons and stuff.
I almost think that would be a more interesting story.
Yeah.
What if synths just ruled the world?
But I suppose there is this implication because it's Sophie. Is it Sophie? No, Anita. They call the family call the synth Anita, and there's a scene where you see is it a missing poster or something? There's some link to her. Actually, at one point she was human. They've just converted her into a synth, which I guess it's interesting, but I feel like the pilot was just a mood board, or it was just asking questions like, what if there were synths that did all this? And I didn't feel there was much drive in the plot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me the biggest problem with this is that we've watched it after we've watched. Well, for me, I've watched there's that episode of Black Mirror that does everything this does, but in an episode it sort of goes, well, that's probably pretty shit, isn't it? Let's not do that.
That's the one with Donald Gleason, isn't it? He plays the
and Hayley Atwell.
Was it Hayley Atwell? Oh, okay.
It's a very good episode. And also Westworld, which deals with...
That's very true.
But Westworld comes at it in a different way, where they're sort of we've literally built these things to do one job.
And that's just to serve whatever purpose you want them to.
Yeah, and that's to basically just be pleasure machines. So sort of going whatever your wildest fantasy is, we've got a synth for that.
Yeah.
Whereas it's just sort of if you can't bother to clean up your house, synth will do it. And I find it doesn't feel to me as much of an interesting story.
No, I've just
because they know that they're synths. Whereas in Black Mirror, he knew to an extent that he was a synth, but as it progressed, he just was maybe I'm a human. Can't you just accept me as a human?
That's the crux of Blade Runner, isn't it? I suppose, but that's the other thing I thought. Is that I bet at some point, some character that we've spent a lot of time with is gonna turn out to be either a previously thought synth is actually a human, or vice versa. But yeah, I've just read a really good thing. There's a little quote from a review from Brandon Novak, who works for the AV Club, and he said the final scene is a plea to please keep watching, which I completely agree with him on that, because there's nothing that really happens that's of any sort of, it doesn't grip you or draw you in. But the last scene is you see Anita just pick up Sophie and just walk out the door with her.
Yeah, and the trouble is, even that doesn't make me go, I'm going to keep watching this. It just makes me go, okay, I guess she's leaving. Yeah,
but that's a perfect way of putting it, is a plea to just please keep watching. But it's a shame, but like I said, it was interesting in that, I was curious to see like what direction they thought it would, artificial intelligence would take our society. But beyond that, it failed to sort of have a decent story about it or make me want to watch more.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that I think would benefit from sort of staying with one synth or one family for maybe an episode or two.
Yeah.
So to give them like a full sort of hour and a half of content each and sort of go, okay, and then move on to the next sort of loosely related one, then sort of go, and then you can give them flashbacks or flash forwards. Because I actually think that this is the sort of show that would benefit from that, where you sort of have calls forward to say, this is roughly where they're going, and you can introduce new characters in that, and then the next episode can follow them.
Yeah.
And you sort of see how they all reach this, like, we're ruling the world now, this is ours, all you humans can do one.
I think we're in agreement then that a more focused narrative right at the start would have helped it. But beyond that, like, I think the score was okay. It was a bit too futuristic-y, like, when they're trying to do that thing where it's they'd call the genre a near future. It's like that,
and it's all like synth pianos and
that's exactly it. But yeah, so I did enjoy it as a sort of a think piece, or like but I don't think I'm going to watch this anymore, even if Neil Maskell's in it, because I fucking love Neil Maskell.
Yeah, there was nothing in it that sort of made me go, yeah, I can watch 16 episodes of this.
Is it 16?
2 seasons, that's all there is, as far as I think. There's only 2.
Okay. I would be interested to see, like, Real Humans, the Swedish one. I think that, I just imagine it would be a bit more interesting, but I don't know, maybe it's just because it's got, a bit of European artistry to it, and that just is a bit more exotic for...
Yeah, I know, there is a season 3 coming.
Oh, really?
It's actually quite recent. This came out in 2015.
Oh, wow. Apparently in the Swedish version, they're called Hubots, the synths, and they use the term Pac-Man as an insult of you Pac-Man. Should we shift over to Mr. Robot?
Yes.
Which, no robots.
No, but a significantly better show.
Well, definitely. Okay, so go on, talk us through, what is Mr. Robot all about?
It's about a programmer who becomes a hacktivist.
Uh-huh. What's a hacktivist, for those of us that don't know?
Well, if you don't know, it's probably not your show. Well, he hacks people, specifically, to start with, just people, and from what he finds out, decides whether or not they're a good or bad person. It opens with him confronting someone who runs a child pornography ring, which I feel like it's a bold opening.
Well, if you definitely don't want your audience to be on the side of the man who is, you're thinking, oh, hang on, maybe this is a bit out of order, and then you just mention, oh, he looks at child porn. Okay, you don't care now. You can do what you like to him.
Maybe you should just kill him. But the first episode follows him through like his day job, and he has social anxiety. I'm assuming. And so he has his therapist who he visits and hacks a little bit. And hacks her boyfriend. And then I think later in the episode he confronts him and just goes, "You're a prick."
That's the bit where... also, another technique. So, if you want audiences to not be on the side of a certain character, A, make them look at child porn. B, make them be horrible to a dog.
Yeah, well,
Do you remember there's a tree that's got a sort of a square around it that's bark, and he lifts the dog up by his lead and just chucks it over the little fence there, and I was like, I'ma fucking kill you now.
Yeah, and then Elliot's like, and I need your dog.
I really like that bit. He's like, yeah, fuck you, I'm having this dog now.
Yeah, but then it also goes into like his sort of depression and loneliness and
Do you know what?
Some drugs.
I was really quite pleased that at no point anyone used the word autism or Asperger's or anything like that, because I think that's just shorthand for he's just a bit odd. But where his mental health problems is, like you say, it's from depression and social anxiety,
which also contributes to his loneliness, and I feel like and also like a need to fit in.
Yeah.
Which I think is how he falls in with fucking, what are they called? F
F
group?
Society. F group.
F group of hackers.
Yeah, but he works for. He
works for
the
security
company he
company.
wants to take down, doesn't he?
No, I think
Have
they're
I
a
got
client. So he's like they're
Right.
like a contracting not agency, but like contracted to come in and do security on their servers and stuff.
Allsafe, that's it. Yeah, their largest client is E Corp, which he refers to as Evil Corp, and is the big bad of the series.
See, I feel like him referring to it as Evil Corp. So him only referring to it as Evil Corp would be fine, but all of their logos in the show say Evil Corp, not E Corp, which makes me sort of go, fucking unreliable narrator.
Well, I was thinking that it's
very
going to
Fight
sound
Club-y.
strange. Well, I was just about to say it's going to sound strange, but the first thing that made me think of that is the colour palette is actually really similar to the colours you get in Fight Club. There's a lot of muted browns and blacks and little flashes of yellow for like street lights and stuff, and it really made me think. And I was just, it's only just occurred to me that perhaps it is, more similar to Fight Club than.
Yeah, I was thinking about it while I was because I watched Fight Club a couple of days ago.
Was that the first time you'd seen it?
No, I've seen it before, but I watched it. I think I watched this, and then the next day I watched Fight Club. And I was like, hang on a minute, because it's between Elliot and Ed Norton's character, the narrator, and there are just so many similarities that, like, even just in this first episode, he goes through sort of like the first half hour of Fight Club, where he's like, I just have a boring job.
Yeah.
And I just hack people on the side, which is Ed Norton's like IKEA furniture fetish.
Mm.
And then he just goes, and then he gets the chance to be part of a club. I mean, he doesn't start it, but he gets to be part of the club.
Perhaps that's going to be the big reveal at the end, is the fact that actually he and Tyrell are the same person. Mind you, Tyler Durden. Yeah? Ty? Huh?
Could you imagine, though? Or if...
I think it would be kicked out of town. Like, what the fuck are you doing that for? Surely you only get to do that once, and Fight Club already did it.
Unless they I don't know. They could probably get away with it.
I don't know. I think it would be.
But then I'd have the same problem that I have with Fight Club. It's like, why did no one say anything?
Yeah, that's true. Have you played Watch Dogs 2?
No.
Okay, well, basically, it's a similar sort of thing. You play like a hacker and you join a hacktivist group, which is like, I don't know, 21st century buzzword.
I know what it is. I just haven't played it.
It's done in like a less convincing way. Like, it just feels a bit zeitgeisty. Do you know what I mean? It's like these are all the key words and issues that are going around right now. But I think anything to do with hacking and computers, that sort of stuff, I think that's going to age quite badly. So I do wonder if this show is going to do the same thing.
Yeah. Anything that's ever been made about computers ages badly.
Yeah.
Because you make it with probably some of the more up-to-date stuff at the time, but then 5 years down the line, that's well out of date. The only one that might stand up is Minority Report, but that was set in the future, so...
That's true. So it's weird that I'm asking you this 2 episodes on the bounce, but obviously you work with computers and you do coding, that sort of stuff. Was there anything that was glaringly unrealistic to you in this? Like, or was it all fairly like, okay, that could happen?
The only one I can put my finger on right off the top of my head is when they go to the server room.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, going somewhere like that to hook up a secure connection makes sense. But the thing on the wall that's showing all the traffic, like going to each server, I don't know how real that would be.
But I suppose it's
for a TV show, like having something like that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
because you can't just like, it's that sort of show me, don't tell me thing.
Yeah, I suppose you need a visual indicator of what's going on rather than just expecting everyone to understand.
Yeah.
Which you could argue would be like, you've got to have some balls to do that. It's like, right, come on, keep up. You've got to know a little bit about it to enjoy it. But equally, I was glad that they didn't, because I was
but then this, like, a show based around hacking isn't the place to do that. Like, that sort of thing you can do in, like, a detective show where you're like, where you make, not leaps, but you follow evidence that maybe no one's picked up on. And you sort of go, well, we can't just explain everything to you.
What did you think about the reveal that once he manages to frame the CTO of E Corp, he then discovers that the people running F Society is actually the group of people in black suits that he determines are his enemy, or the bad guys.
I thought the black suits took him to E Corp. I didn't think they took him to F Society. Are you talking about right at the end?
I read that as that he's actually in charge of F Society. Have I got that completely wrong?
I think so, because you see him, he's like their sort of security tech dude at E Corp. And I think the only people in F Society are the ones at the fairground.
Right, sorry, I thought it was going to reveal that he was actually part of it as well, but because of his position in the company, he'd be a really handy person to have on their side. I must have
unless maybe
for
they turn him to be like, hey, you can help us now. But I really want to know like what's going to happen.
Oh, so you've not watched any more?
No, I literally this was slated to be in season 1, and it got bumped 2 whole seasons.
I remember, yeah.
Actually, it got slated for season 2, and then we had the snafu in there as well. So I watched it originally for season 1, and then we never recorded it. And then I was like, oh, maybe I could just watch a little bit more. And I was like, no. Because I want to go on the podcast, I want to talk about it, having only seen the first episode.
Wow, you really held out on that.
I really had out because I'm pretty fucking sure this is top 5 material.
Really? Okay. So, cool. We're 5 episodes in, and we've both said that this is top 5.
I mean, I can't see how it couldn't be because this has got everything. Like, for me, it's got everything. There's like mystery.
Yep.
Like, one, who are F Corp? Who are Evil Corp? Who is Elliot?
F Society, you mean? Sorry.
E Corp and F Society, and who's Elliot?
Yeah, you said F Corp.
Did I say F Corp? Well,
it's like a minor. I really didn't mean it to become this big mistake. Don't worry about it.
And then I want to see how Elliot's relationships with like Angela and stuff, how all that develops.
Yeah.
And I want to see him because he's clearly gonna. Who's? Do they give a name of that girl hacker?
I don't think so. The one who like
dismissed him.
Yeah. Being like,
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Because
I
think Elliot's going to put the moves on her, and I want to see why that's not okay. Because that won't work. From that one interaction, I'm like, that won't work.
She's the Maud. Fuck. What's Helena Bonham Carter's character's name in Fight Club?
I can't remember. Maud, I think.
Marla. That's it.
We got the M.
I knew it was a M. I couldn't remember what. I haven't watched Fight Club for a few years actually. I could do with seeing it again.
It's still really good.
Yeah.
The film has not gotten worse.
Brad Pitt is like the most beautiful man in that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the thing is, I can't remember why I watched. Oh, it's because I was looking at films that Ed Norton had done. Because I was reading about some racists recreating scenes out of American History X. And a little part of me was like, should I watch American History X? And I was like, nah, that sounds a bit sad and depressing. I'll watch Fight Club.
The curb stomping?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's got hurt, innit? Like, I just remember seeing the picture where he just puts his teeth really gently on the curb. I was like, ah ha ha! No. Okay, well, I think you've answered the question of, are you going to watch some more of it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's good.
Are you?
I really don't know. Like, I wouldn't mind watching more of it, but it's not. I don't think I feel as strongly about it as you do. I did really enjoy it though. It is a very strong pilot. It's just for me not quite top 5. But perhaps I'll rethink that because it like technically and the way it's written, everything it's one of the better pilots we've done. Maybe it would be in like top 10 or.
Yeah, we don't do top 10 though.
No, this is it.
But
okay.
I don't know. Maybe what I'll do is I'll continue watching it and just drip feed you like juicy spoils.
Yeah. Oh, which reminds me of if we're having drip feed regular updates of stuff. Let me just go over to Netflix.com and I'll give you our bi-weekly Gilmore Girls update because Lisa is back from her training, which means we managed to watch exactly. Because I think last time I was on Series 5, Episode 5.
Don't say 1.
We've watched exactly 2 episodes.
That's better than 1. That's better than 1.
She got back on Friday, and we've. I bought Lisa a lot of Christmas stuff over a lot of Gilmore Girls stuff for Christmas, and in a lot of the merch were the words in abdomina. Oh, fuck, what is it? The Latin phrase, something about.
Oh, it's
apparatus.
like in
abdomino
apparatus.
Yeah, which I think has got something to do with umbrellas because para in a lot of like Latin-based languages.
What it stands for?
Umbrella. And I've just highlighted, and there's a picture of Rory and Logan holding umbrellas. So that's another reason I think it's got something to do with that. But yeah,
is that your next episode?
Yeah, she's investigating the whole secret society thing.
I like that episode. That's possibly my favourite episode.
We might be watching that tonight. So that's the Gilmore Girls update.
Oh, it means ready for anything. That's all it means.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's shit. I really thought it had something to do with umbrellas because, like, parapluie is umbrella in French and paraguas is umbrella in Spanish. So I just thought it might do that. But anyway, it doesn't
Well,
matter.
you were wrong.
Yeah, again.
Simply put,
Yep.
Google
That's
said you were
alright.
wrong.
Hey, I'm happy to be wrong. That's fine. Happy to be mistaken. Next episode then, we're going to be talking about one show that I've never heard of and one that I've seen the pilot of but need to rewatch again, but it is very good. Actually, it's here's a link, directed by David Fincher, who did Fight Club. We're doing Mindhunter, which came out tail end of last year, and Atypical, something about which I know nothing.
I think it came out around the same time.
Oh, good. They're both on Netflix. That means I don't have to spend any money on this podcast.
Yeah, it came out in August 2017.
Sam, an 18-year-old on the autism spectrum, decides it's time to find a girlfriend. A journey that sets Sam's mum on her own life-changing path as her son seeks more independence. That'd be interesting.
Is Mindhunter a comedy?
No, Mindhunter's about the formation of the FBI profiling of serial killers. So, what the fuck are we doing? We might not be doing Atypical next week. We might have to find.
Oh no, but I really want to watch both of them.
We can watch both of them, but I just think maybe we should swap out Atypical for something later. We'll discuss this. It's definitely. Well, we won't say it's definitely either of them, but the next episode will be another award-winning Co-Pilots podcast featuring two wonderful shows. Hopefully,
I hope so.
I think that covers us, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what fucking award we've won.
Oh, well,
Best Blaggers of Fake Awards.
Yeah,
2016.
I think Donald Trump mentioned us, didn't he, in his fake news awards?
Maybe, but that could just be fake news. Who knows?
Exactly. Right. Let's finish this madness. Goodbye.
Nah. I'm staying. Oh, actually, I can't bother. Bye.